What's up, humans, and welcome to a new Psicoactivo. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Okay, so yesterday I did a video about a teaser from Disclosure Day where they show what looks like a triangular shaped craft. Right after I pressed publish, there was an interview that I was not aware that it was going to happen. And I guess this is the start of the media tour from Steven Spielberg because he did the Stephen Colbert show. And as you guys know, the movie is going to drop on June 12th. There's already people who have seen screeners of the film. I would guess the more privileged ones, like Steven. Spielberg was on the Late Show with Stephen Colbert, and he discussed a couple of things. One, he practically accepted that he thinks what he is doing in the film and the topics that he's covering are real, or he hopes that they are real. And there's a clip that we're going to play about that. And then also there's another clip, which is the one we're going to start with, where he talks about the psi abilities or psychic abilities that two characters in the film have. Emily Blunt's character has it, and Josh O'Connor's character has it, and also Colin Firth's character seems to have it. And well, if you guys are familiar with this topic, you will know that like these types of abilities have been common forever, like for millennia in humans. But there was a time when they were more suppressed than other times. Right now, what happens is just like stigma, because, for example, we talked about Dr. Jeffrey Mishlove and how he became the first person ever in the US to get a degree in parapsychology from Berkeley, nonetheless. That is something that he had to fight against, that stigma, for a long time in his career. Also, Dr. Dean Radin has spoken in his new book, The Science of Magic. He talks about how in the 70s, 80s, there was a really strong opposition towards parapsychology in general from the skeptic society. And he was very much one of the people fighting against that. But that stigma, it sort of feels like it's receding a little bit. And Steven Spielberg now confirms that he is going to use many elements from real life when he's describing psi abilities or psychic abilities. And there's also this genetic component, I think, that is going to be explored. But he defines and confirms psi abilities in Disclosure Day with a single word. And I think it's a really important word and an interesting choice from Steven Spielberg because it's a little bit frowned upon when you hear it, but I happen to agree, you know. But let's see. Here is Steven Spielberg on Stephen Colbert's The Late Show.
The story is a chase. The story is a kind of race for the truth. It's a pursuit to take an entire archive of all the information about UFO and extraterrestrial visitation to this planet, beginning with Roswell in 1947, and the people who have been guarding these secrets and keeping these secrets away from the general public. The whistleblowers inside that organization have stolen the entire archive. And those who do not want the truth to be known go after them. And there's a couple of very important people in our story. Emily Blunt plays Margaret, and Josh O'Connor, they're both incredible together. But Josh O'Connor suddenly realizes that he knows a language that a week ago he didn't know he knew. And something has happened to both of these people that has imbued them with tremendous powers, not superhero Marvel DC type powers.
No, the real world type powers. And there's a really cool book from Dr. Jeffrey Kripal that is titled The Superhumanities. And he talks about that quite extensively in his entire body of work. So I would check out Dr. Jeffrey Kripal. Sorry for the interruption.
But powers that we could all relate to, powers involving human connection and empathy deep empathy. And this scene is where he admits that he suddenly understands something that a week ago he didn't even know anything about.
Yvonne?
Look at this. Do you understand what she's saying?
I hear it. It's gibberish. I can't understand it.
Okay, I just heard this for the first time, and I can. It's English.
English?
I mean, it's math turned English in my head, translating the words. When I look at this, I hear this.
I love your description.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. I love the choice, not just the description, but I love the choice of empathy as a superpower in this.
Yeah.
Because there are many moments in this when Emily Blunt's character, without giving anything away, expresses this empathy toward people, and it doesn't just get them out of a tight bond at times. It actually changes the people to whom she is expressing this inner power of hers. And those are some of the most beautiful moments in the film.
I think if you become the person you're talking to, even if it's for 5 seconds, and in 5 seconds, you understand deeply everything this person's been through throughout their entire life before you come back to yourself, there would be a lot more cooperation between our own species on this planet.
We have to take a quick break.
So something that I did want to mention is that, and this is not a good sign, so just a little thought. I was talking to a friend of mine who's a producer, Hollywood, and when they heard that Colbert had already seen a screener of the film and that people are going to start seeing them, I would guess Jimmy Fallon, probably Jimmy Kimmel too, they're going to get screeners. If they didn't already at Spielberg's house or something like that, like everyone together, I would guess that's the way to do it. If this is already happening, that is not a good sign, according to my friend, because films that are like really, 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 really good, usually you don't get screeners or anything until like a few days before the release or just a day before. And I've seen that happen in film journalism. For example, all the Avengers films, none of those got screeners at all. Like when there's hype, the screeners are not there generally, and they don't show them to the press or anything. Hopefully, Spielberg just showed them to this select few of people that have major audiences. Hopefully, Joe Rogan saw it, and maybe Joe Rogan wants to have Spielberg on to talk about this. But I wanted to tell you guys that because we're going to continue with the Psi abilities and the history, because you guys, I've shown this clip before from Buddha at the gas pump of Dr. Dean Radin explaining the study that they did in genetics and how they were able to trace the Psi gene, and they discovered that the majority of people have it. And where there are lacks of it and like the population, they can trace it back in history to the Inquisition. Let me show you this because, Psi abilities, I think, are generalized. Like everybody has them. Dr. Julia Mosris was just on Joe Rogan saying the same thing. But this is Dr. Dean Radin. Here you go.
And so we have identified a genetic sequence on chromosome 7 of DNA, which was the opposite of what we thought originally. We originally thought there's some special gene that makes people psychic superstars, and we'll find what that is. And so we got people who are psychic from psychic families and controls who are not psychic from non-psychic families, and did a standard case control study, which is what you do with genetics. So we found this difference between the two, but the difference was that it looks like most people who are, quote, average, normal average people, they have capacity or psychic ability. It's these other people, still a pretty large proportion of the population, we think, maybe 40%, we don't know exactly, who don't have this particular gene. And by not having it, their capacity for having these kinds of experiences is much, much lower than the average person. So this is kind of backwards, because we're basically saying it looks like everyone can have these experiences except this group of maybe 40% who end up being extremely skeptical because it's not part of their experience and they don't know how to make it part of their experience. And so one of the people working with us is a specialist in sociogenetics, which was a discipline I didn't even know existed until he started working with us. And what it's about is looking at the genes of a population and how that orients a population towards certain kinds of beliefs and certain predilections. So he did this analysis and found a very strong correlation between and this is a negative correlation. We were originally saying, well, maybe the Druids have, that portion of northern Scotland or Ireland, maybe they have more psychic ability because they have legends about such things. We found the opposite. We found a place that has a deficit of people with psychic talent. And from a socioeconomic or a socio-historical perspective, it turns out to be Christianity. So we're thinking this is Holy Roman Empire plus or minus a couple of countries over time. There's a deficit of this particular genotype, basically.
So you mean the geographic birthplace of Christianity? You don't mean Christians around the world in general?
No, it's like the birthplace, and then high density is going to be near that birthplace.
Uh-huh.
So we're talking about probably Italy, Spain, a few countries around there, which are still heavily Catholic. There's a deficit of this gene, of this sequence. And so in thinking about that, we were trying to figure out, to get rid of a gene in a population, first of all, takes many generations, but also something has to happen. I mean, evolution does things because there's a need. The need could be that the environment changes, or it could be endless wars. It could be all kinds of things. In this case, all we could come up with as a speculation is the Inquisition.
Yeah, I was going to say that people were persecuted for displaying anything like this. They were accused of witchcraft and so on.
And so those genes were not passed along.
Interesting.
So that this is the speculation at this point, except that the correlation is pretty strong. Pretty
wild, right? And I don't know if Steven Spielberg is going to talk about this specifically. I would guess that he's going to combine it with, in terms of storytelling, with the whole hybridization thing. But, historically, at least since the Inquisition, people were displaying abilities and weird things around them. And they were accused of witchcraft and hunted by the church. Now, moving on a little bit to what Steven Spielberg said on Stephen Colbert's show again, but about how he wishes for this to be all true. And just look at, because it goes back to Close Encounters of the Third Kind, because as you guys know, Dr. J. Allen Hynek advised him. He had a character that was French, that was a scientist, kind of like Dr. Jacques Vallée, who worked alongside Dr. J. Allen Hynek. I know that his screenwriter said that they didn't get any help from anybody from the government. That may be true, but there was, when you were in your interview, there was Leslie Kane there. She's not from the government. I mean, Jay Stratton was there, and he's still in the government. So they were there with Dan Farah. And I don't know how much influence everything that they've influenced Dan Farah has had on Steven Spielberg, But yeah, very clearly, this is Steven Spielberg wishful thinking, and he clearly thinks that he is depicting an accurate representation of reality in his film. That's very clear. So let me show you.
Well, I've been interested in everything involving, what's out there. And the whole big question is, because I believe that certainly there is, the cosmos is teeming with life. The big question is, has that life ever, at any epoch in our history, visited here, or is that life currently interacting with us now, and has that life been interacting with us for many years? I've always been interested in this. When I made Close Encounters, for me, it was a story that I thought, wouldn't it be great when this movie comes out? Wouldn't it be great if people like this movie, they come out, they see Close Encounters, and wouldn't it be great if this someday could all come true? Wouldn't it be great if this could be true someday? And with everything that's happened from 1977 till today, I can now make Disclosure Day and say, Isn't it going to be wonderful when people realize after seeing this movie that everything is true and has been true?
Now,
That's the big difference.
There it is.
I want you to be right.
There
want to
it
be right
is.
too.
I want you to be right.
I want to be right.
I want there to be aliens out there. What I want to know is, do you know things that we don't know,
I
Steven
don't.
Spielberg?
I've been
Are
asked
you
that
sure?
question.
Because the government's
Yeah.
dumping a lot of this alien stuff right now, right when your movie's coming out, and it seems pretty fishy. Sir.
Yeah, they haven't dumped it on me.
But on Dan Farah, they have, and you are his friend. Let's just make that clear. So, I mean, it's a good way to plausible deniability. Dan Farah is taking all the heat, and you're getting all the information directly from him. So it makes sense. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about this. Are you excited? What did you think about the little clip that I showed you from Dr. Dean Radin talking about the history of Psi abilities and the Psi gene, which now its Psi abilities have been confirmed by Spielberg himself for Disclosure Day. Let me know what you think about this, and what do you think about this wishful thinking from Steven? Do you think he's in on it? He knows. I mean, it's pretty clear to me, at least. But let me know what you think. I can't wait to hear what you got to say. Before I leave, I'm going to present you with Psicoactivo's first ever sponsor, one of you, a really cool small business by the name of Anomalous Cards. And I've seen every one of you posting them all over. Thank you for supporting Anomalous Cards. And thank you to my friend Matt and Anomalous Cards for sponsoring this video. Matt is coming forward with the 2026 pack of all the events that happened throughout 2026. That is still in development, but he came out with a really cool idea that he calls the Heroes of Truth. And it's he also came out with a really cool idea to sell just little packs of cards, not the entire deck. And that's where you're gonna get these Heroes of Truth cards. So there are special Heroes of Truth insert cards which are only available in the packs. These document 30 key UAP truth tellers, both past and present. The Heroes of Truth cards are serial numbered to different amounts, from 250 to as low as 10. So let me show you the packs. These are the packs, which are really cool. And these are the packs right here. And then the Hero of Truth that I'm going to show you here is a former astronaut, Gordon Cooper. And this is the Gordon Cooper Heroes of Truth Anomalous card. And this is the reverse. Let me read it to you. Gordon Cooper was an aerospace engineer, test pilot, and astronaut. He was the first American to spend more than 24 hours in orbit. Following his retirement, Cooper spoke publicly about multiple UAP he witnessed over Europe while flying for the Air Force in 1951. He described the objects as saucer-shaped with maneuvering capability beyond state-of-the-art. Quote, "We couldn't get anywhere near their altitude," end quote, Cooper said. Asked in 1999 what he believed he and his fellow airmen had seen that day, Cooper stated bluntly, extraterrestrial vehicles. Cooper also revealed a 1957 incident at Edwards Air Force Base where he was supervising flight testing. His crew witnessed and filmed a saucer land in a dry lake bed before it zipped away at a great rate of speed, he said. We wound up having to send the film forward to Washington in the base jet airplane, and I don't know whether anyone ever seen it since. So this is from the Heroes of Truth, Anomalous Cards. And I want to thank again Matt for the support here. So I wanted to show you this. It was really cool that I got this, and it's really cool that it's moving forward, that it's doing well. Thank you for the support. If you want to go to the site, it is called letsgetanomalous.com. Let me repeat, letsgetanomalous.com. We're supposedly going to have a 15% discount for Psicoactivo. As soon as I get it, because they haven't generated it yet, I will give it to you guys so you can take a look. But let me show you. This is a good example. This is Dylan Borland's description of the black triangle that he saw, that he described at the September hearings. So that's one. And in the reverse, in the back of the card, you get description. One with the picture on one side and the other one with a description. This is the video that Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp showed on June 16, 2025. And this is the description right here. As I'm told by the Anomalous Cards team, 2 of my reportings are in these cards. If you can spot them, if you buy these cards and you can spot the reporting, I'll be glad to highlight it if you guys let me know. But yeah, remember, go to www.letsgetanomalous.com for a 15% discount for Psicoactivo. I'll leave the discount in the description down below. But thank you to the Anomalous Cards team for giving me this opportunity to be my sponsor, my very first official sponsor for Psicoactivo podcast. Thank you. That's it for me today on this video, but I'll see you guys in the next one. Remember, stay curious and inquisitive like Steven Spielberg, always. Bye.